Hi, everybody. Welcome to Halftime Live on Bruce Sports. It's a Thursday edition of the program, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of great things to get to today. I am Baxter Colburn.
And I'm Tanner Burke.
Tanner Burke, good day to you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is a good day. It's a beautiful Thursday.
Beautiful day to be alive.
Every day this week has felt like Friday, and today I'm just a little bit closer. So
One day more.
I'm with
Both the great Les Mis.
Yes, exactly.
You've seen Les Mis before?
I have.
Oh,
I
good.
have. It's very good.
Yes,
I did a little bit of theater back in the day.
A
So
little bit of theater.
just a little bit.
Everybody
Just a
loves
little
it.
bit.
Everybody has dabbled in theater, I feel like,
Yeah,
at one
one way
time
or
or
another.
another. Well, Tanner, we've got a good show for people, don't we?
We do. There's a lot going on in the sports world.
Right.
Of course, the Masters starts today, or has started this morning. Dustin Johnson falling down the stairs, the world number one and the favorite to win the Masters, fell
Love
down
when
the
that
stairs
happens.
last night, the day before the Masters. So,
What are the odds?
quite unfortunate, but we'll get some news on that, and we'll talk about who maybe to keep an eye on this weekend. Since, of course, we'll be gone, but maybe we can come in and do some coverage of that. But, yeah, so the Masters is going on. We're going to do a little draft at the end of the show to pick our favorite concessions foods. And if we had an arena or a stadium,
Sounds
I think
yummy.
It'd be fun to do that, and it'll be a great way to go into lunch at the end of the show today.
I agree.
So
That
we
sounds
also,
very yummy to me.
Yes, we'll have Dan Pfeiffer on to chat the Masters, one of our good, wonderful golf friends, correspondents, brothers, brethren. And then my good friend Nate Geary will be on to talk about Kyle Okposo, who was admitted into the neurosurgical ICU last night. He's been ill for a couple days now, and then they decided to get it checked out, and apparently it's not very good, but there's not that much information on it at the moment, but that's why we'll have Nate on here to talk about it in just a couple minutes. So.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to all of those things. Certainly a great overall show in store for people. Some new guests joining us. A lot of fun things to talk about. But, of course, with it being Thursday, we have to talk about Thirsty Thursday, don't we?
We do. It's a very thirsty Thursday. I suppose I'll lead off here, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
The Masters, I'm always thirsty for the Masters when it comes around. There's some great competition. It's the most prestigious, quote unquote, event in golf. It is essentially the golf's version of the Super Bowl. And there are some wonderful storylines going through the Masters with Rory McIlroy winning a couple majors, but has yet to win the Masters in the green jacket. And he's come close, so maybe this is the year that he does it. Phil Mickelson can also win another Masters, and he could be the oldest person to do it. And then, of course, Ricky Fowler chasing his first major win. And then, of course, Dustin Johnson falling down the stairs. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But
it's a whole nother twist on falling under pressure or something like that, collapsing under pressure.
It's quite ironic, but it's
not exactly what he I'm
so.
sure expected to start his week off.
No. What are you thirsty for?
What am I thirsty for? There's a lot of questions about what exactly I'm thirsty for, Tanner. For me, probably the biggest thing that I'm thirsty for is Eddie Lacy's garage sale.
Eddie Lacy's got a garage sale.
Eddie Lacy has a garage sale coming
insane.
up. If you didn't know this, Eddie Lacy's got a garage sale coming up, which is really going to be kind of a surprising thing, honestly, because Eddie Lacy is moving to Seattle, as many people know, right?
Yes.
Eddie Lacy's moving, got sold 1 year, $5.5 million to the Seattle Seahawks. But he's going to be having a garage sale in De Pere, Wisconsin, of all places, tomorrow and on Saturday to sell all of his belongings. So I'm thirsty for whatever in the world Eddie Lacy has in terms of the cheap liquor he probably purchased while he was still in Green Bay.
That's a good question because to me, I wonder if some of his things are going to be sold like at the price value of normal garage sales. So is he selling like his old like? I wonder what you're going to find. So an old Nintendo Entertainment System for like
That's the thing, because he was such a big
like
gamer back in the day. That's why I'm hopeful that he does have, like, maybe he's got even a Tecmo or something flopping around somewhere. Be like, the old
I'll take it.
PlayStation, or what was it? Nintendo, Sega Genesis or something floating around too.
Of course.
So I'm thirsty to see what he's got. I'm not going to be able to get up to go to it, obviously, but 100% of the proceeds go to charity. Whatever doesn't get sold goes to the Freedom House in Green Bay as well.
Okay.
So
very nice.
Eddie kind of going out on a happy note.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's good for Eddie Lacy, and it's good for the city of Green Bay and the state of Wisconsin, quite frankly. So
Completely
Seattle's
agree.
getting a very great player there, and we'll see
if you believe that,
if he can drop a couple pounds and get his legs in gear.
Seattle's getting something.
They're getting something.
They're getting something.
At the very least, a decent human being who loves McDonald's breakfast.
Yes. That's more accurate, I feel like.
Exactly. So,
what else?
I'm really thirsty for Russell Westbrook's impending record-breaking season. So he's already come close to breaking a couple records. Unfortunately, there was if for those of you who don't know, Russell Westbrook is going to break. It will happen. I think it's safe to say
It's not one of those like if he it wins.
It's a matter of time. There's enough games left in the season where he'll break it. The record for triple doubles in a single season in regular season. So he's chasing it. He's tied to the leader right now for the most triple doubles in a single season.
Wow.
And there was another record that unfortunately came to a close last night. He was quietly chasing Wilt Chamberlain's record for most consecutive triple doubles, and Russell Westbrook was at 7. And unfortunately, yesterday he finished up at 45 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. So he was Wilt Chamberlain's record was at 9. Russell Westbrook was at 7, and he had been at 7 before. I think it was this season too. So unfortunate, but we'll see if he can at least break the single season regular season triple-double record tomorrow night at 9 p.m. versus the Phoenix Suns. So it'll be very interesting to watch, and he's an exciting player. And
I mean, he's a very electrifying player, honestly. I mean, we could probably squeeze in an NBA conversation here for a brief moment. I mean, he is really cementing himself as the front-runner for the MVP award right now. I mean, Oklahoma is struggling as a team, but when Russell Westbrook is continuously putting the team on his back and creating electrifying plays left and right, and chasing all these records while still being under the age of 30 years old, it's very commendable no matter who you are and what you're trying to go through in your career. So commendable to Russell Westbrook. He's got to be the MVP at this point, I feel like.
I think right now we've cemented at least 2 people who I think will end up with the MVP, and it's James Harden and Russell Westbrook. And with the records that Westbrook is breaking and the points he's putting up, I don't think there's any doubt that Russell Westbrook deserves the MVP this year.
Is there a harder name to say with a back-to-back than Russell Westbrook? Like, I have to literally think about it. Otherwise, I'm like, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, you hear people say it all the time, and you don't ever think that, because I'm trying to say it here, and I didn't wake up and go, Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook. But maybe that's a warm-up exercise we can do before the show every day. Yeah, so a little difficult, but,
to work on that.
What are you going to do?
Work on it.
Yes.
Last thing I'm thirsty for here is Marshawn Lynch. And I'm thirsty for him to stay in retirement because Oakland is trying to bring him back out of retirement, which likely he will end up doing, which is, if you're into that sort of thing, good, great. Happy days, huzzah, huzzah. But Marshawn Lynch, as I've stated numerous times on the network, is not going to be an impact player the way everybody thinks he's going to be. He's done literally nothing but the last 2 years but eat Skittles, not hardly talk, and play the bagpipes.
Oh, my gosh.
What kind of football shape are you in, Marshawn? You are not. I'm thirsty for you to go back to retirement and stay there because you aren't going to do anything for the Raiders.
Here's the deal. Much like Eddie Lacy, Marshawn was never just some ripped, toned
Marshawn
athlete.
Actually tried, though.
But he's just big and bulky, and he's powerful.
Yeah,
and
when he's in shape.
Just lose that. Well, I mean, I'm looking at pictures of him right now that are pretty recent. He looks like he's okay to me, but see, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum here in regards to Marshawn Lynch coming back because I think he'll be just fine. He's not young. We'll give him that. But he's 30 years old, and I've seen many running backs. I mean, Adrian Peterson even, who can push past that age. And Marshawn, quite frankly, left in, just past the end of his prime. And I think he certainly has at least 1 or 2 more seasons in him. And I think with Oakland, with the Raiders being in Oakland for just a couple more years, I think it's great that we have Marshawn Lynch, the hometown hero per se, to give them a chance to win a Super Bowl while Oakland is in Oakland, or while the Raiders are in Oakland rather. So I don't see him
Oakland is still in Oakland.
Yeah, I don't see him playing for the Raiders after the move or for any team after the move. But I can see him at least giving it a shot over the next 2 seasons and trying to win Derek Carr and himself and the city of Oakland a Super Bowl. So
yeah, no, and I agree with that. But I mean, listen, Marshawn Lynch is one of those players that is past his prime, in my opinion. Is he going to come in and suddenly just make an immediate impact? No, I don't think he's going to. I would be foolish to really believe that Marshawn Lynch is even a shell of what he used to be.
Right.
It really strikes the chord with me in the sense that he needs to. Yeah, he's going to sell tickets. He's going to put people in the seats because he's back supporting the hometown team and playing for the hometown team. But it's just not going to be anything I don't get why to do it.
It's going to be interesting because, I mean, he's such an exciting player and he's so dynamic, and we'll have Nate here on in a second, and he's a Buffalo guy, and him and I both grew up watching Marshawn Lynch kind of make a name for himself before he ended up leaving for Seattle. So it's going to be exciting to watch. I love the idea of Marshawn Lynch coming back because he is such a fun player to watch, and he just continuously creates highlights left and right, just dodging players, throwing guys off his back. So he's still going to be able to do that. He still has the talent, so we'll see what happens here. But I'm happy for the city of Oakland, especially being from Buffalo, having a city and a team that for years assumed and thought that the team was going to move to Toronto or LA. I mean, that was going to be us. So to have a team that is ultimately moving and have Marshawn Lynch there to go home to his hometown and play for him, knowing that the team's going to move, I think it's exciting, and it's important for the fans to have that. So, but we'll see. It's going to be exciting.
A couple of comments on Facebook really fast. Adam says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to you, Patrick. Thanks so much for swinging by." And Patrick says he doesn't understand how Westbrook didn't break the record. He should have easily done it against a team like the Phoenix Suns. And Jeff says, "Wilt, the Stilt, and the Big O. Great company to be in if you're Russell Westbrook." That is absolutely true about that one. And Eric apparently already pre-gaming for Nate to be on the show. He says, "Nate!" So he's very excited to have Nate on the program.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's funny because Nate and I went to high school together, and we both ended up into broadcasting, and it's only been a matter of time before, our paths crossed. So it's exciting to have him here today for sure. So
Absolutely. Well, let us bring in the man, the myth, the legend. Would you like to give him his full official intro?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's only fitting. So my good friend and colleague Nate Geary is here on Brew Sports with us today from WGR 550 Buffalo Sports Radio. Nate, how are you today, my good friend?
I'm doing well. How are you, Tanner?
I am living the dream, my man. It's a beautiful day here in Wisconsin. We're pushing 50 degrees, so still hovering around that spring weather, but much like Buffalo, you know that all too well. So, but there's a lot going on in the sports world. First things first, do you have any comments on Marshawn Lynch coming out and coming back to Oakland before their ultimate demise of moving to LA?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting move. Well, if it does end up happening, obviously Lynch would fill a significant need for the Raiders, who let Latavius Murray go in free agency. They don't, in my opinion, have a starting caliber running back or a 3-down running back currently on their roster. They've got a couple of, specialized, running backs, some smaller, quicker guys, but right now they're lacking that real number one back. So Marshawn Lynch, I think, if he's anything like he was 2 years ago, is still certainly a dominant running back. And behind that offensive line, I think that's really the thing that doesn't get talked about is how good that offensive line is. And if you bring in Marshawn Lynch, how that might affect, just how good that running game could be. So that'll definitely be an interesting move.
Well, I mean, if their offensive line was that great, Derek Carr wouldn't have gotten hurt, and they'd have probably won a playoff game, too.
Listen, I don't even think it's a problem with the offensive line. I'm confident that Marshawn, even getting beat up, play after play, can still make a difference. So, but that's beside the fact. Like I said before, we're gonna have to keep an eye on it, and I'd be the guy in my fantasy league to take a chance on a guy like Marshawn or Adrian Peterson. I'm always that guy because they're going to fall down the draft a little bit. He hasn't played in 2 years. But the real news right now, breaking news as of yesterday, Sabres forward Kyle Okposo sent to the neurosurgical ICU with an undiagnosed illness. There isn't a lot of information out there right now, but first things first, Dan Bilesma came out and said that it is ultimately concerning, and they are very concerned as an organization for his health. Nate, is there anything that you know about the Kyle Okposo illness or injury or whatever is going on out there?
Well, it's difficult to speculate. I can tell you this much. I looked into a little bit about what happens or what people would be admitted to the neurosurgical ICU for. And basically, it's a number of things, and most of which are pretty scary. Any traumatic brain injuries, brain hemorrhaging, spinal trauma, and stroke, amongst other things. So those are certainly key words that you hope Kyle isn't dealing with, obviously, at this point. But it should be noted that it does appear to be serious in nature, and some of the comments from Coach Dan Bilesma before the game were certainly compounding that, saying things like, as a coach and a person, as a human, he's certainly extremely concerned about where and kind of how this whole thing has gone on. I have a sneaky suspicion it may be something to do with concussion issues. which is another common reason to be admitted to the neurological or neurosurgical ICU at any hospital. So certainly I have a strange feeling it may be coming from some post-concussion syndrome. I mean, that's obviously your best case scenario. Unfortunately, at this point, there just isn't a lot of information. Obviously, the team came out with a statement during the game yesterday, basically addressing the fact that Kyle was admitted to the ICU. And, at this time, for his, family and for his own personal sake, they weren't really going to comment any further. At this point, I don't know when we'll get an update, but we are hoping, everyone's hoping at this point that, this is something that maybe just as they can't diagnose, and that's really kind of why he is where he is they have been unable to diagnose what exactly has gone wrong. And, one of the concerning things is that he felt as though it was a sickness or illness going into this week, and they have no real conclusions as to what has been bothering him, and it's something we're going to really be keeping our eye on here moving forward.
Now, with Kyle Okposo essentially out for the rest of the season, there's only a couple games left, but how does this affect the team? I mean, finishing out the season, but moving into the postseason, it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I mean, bringing in Okposo last season was a huge deal because he was essentially the number one or number two free agent behind Steven Stamkos, who ended up just re-signing with Tampa Bay. But how does this affect the organization, and what are they thinking about moving into the offseason with something that could potentially, this could end his career if it is something as serious as, a tumor, or even if it was hemorrhages or something like that, and concussion issues for that fact. We've seen concussions end players' careers and take them out of the game for extended periods of time.
Yeah, we're sort of at a point where, again, we're hoping that it's something minor and just something that has gone sort of undiagnosed. But you're right. It's certainly the prospects of thinking about moving forward without Kyle Okposo would certainly be a hurt to a team that I think is already pretty weak in terms of top-end talent. And I still think that they need players to add to their top six of forwards. And now you look at, one of your top 3 or 4 guys going down and potentially not being able to move forward is certainly it's a disappointing, way to kind of go to move forward with your hockey team, especially knowing the disappointments that this season brought for not only the Sabres fans, but the players and organization itself. They were really expecting a playoff push at this point in the year, and they didn't get there. And to lose a top 6 forward at this point, I think would be extremely difficult to replace. The Sabres have a little over $24 million in cap space going into the year, with the idea that Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, and Robin Leonard are all up for contracts. Leonard this year, Reinhart, and Eichel next year. So there's certainly the idea that they have money to spend, and they certainly have to replace and kind of replenish that defensive core that they're going to be losing guys like Cody Franson, who didn't really have a great season, but he's certainly a body. So they're going to have to kind of remake that blue line. And when you think about that, and also having to sign a starting goaltender, there are a lot of funds, but they start to dry up quickly when you start to talk about trying to fill key roster spots, guys in the top 6, guys in your top 4 defensively. So certainly a concern if Okposo, if this is serious and does cause him to force or to miss any additional time past this season. Obviously, we're hoping for the best.
Absolutely. And understanding the roster of the Buffalo Sabres, they have a great young team. They're going in the right direction. If hopefully Okposo can come back from whatever it is that he's dealing with, and I'm sure we'll learn more moving forward. But the Sabres have a very bright future, even if Okposo is not in it, if that is the ultimate demise.
But what are the odds, though, that a guy like Jack Eichel stays on the team for a long period of time, though? You've got a young, budding star on your team on a struggling franchise, and his contract is coming up soon here, like Nate said. What are the odds that after another season he kind of looks around and says, screw this, I want to go to a team that might actually compete for a cup since I'm young and talented?
Well, that's the deal, and I think Nate can agree with me here. Having a guy, you draft a guy and you tank for a guy like Jack Eichel or Connor McDavid because you know that you have the money and you will devote the money to a guy like that for 15, 20 years, much like the Brewers spent millions and millions of dollars on Ryan Braun to be sure that he would stay here through 2022. That's a different story, but having Jack Eichel and being able to pay him his due money, which they will, and they're planning on that moving forward. But the reason why he's on the team is because he's going to be the guy that will make the team competitive. The team has put players around him in Ryan O'Reilly and Kyle Okposo and another young second overall pick in Sam Reinhart, and they all have great chemistry. And Jack Eichel's he's a USA guy. Buffalo's a great city for hockey. The fans are very passionate, and I mean I can see him. I'm interested to see what Nate's opinion is on it real quick, but I don't think Jack has any desire to say, I'm going to go play for the Blackhawks, because God knows they're not going to pay him the same amount of money as Buffalo would.
Yeah, and I truthfully, I don't know that it even really kind of comes down to a money issue with Jack. And just to kind of, I guess, explain the point, and I've had this conversation with my roommate a lot, who knows a lot about hockey, and his sentiment was the same, is that he's worried that, this could be a one contract and done for Jack. Well, the thing is, the NHL, the collective bargaining agreement, has allowed for teams to retain their top talent a little easier than it has in the past. So once Jack's contract is up after next season, it'll be after his third year, he will still be considered an RFA, or restricted free agent. That really allows teams to retain their top talent, essentially allowing them to match or beat any offer that is given to Jack. And at this point, you've seen great players who are restricted free agents who don't end up getting offer sheets. At this point, the NHL offer sheets are kind of, they're not necessarily a no-no, but it's kind of an unwritten rule amongst GMs and owners that you're not going to try to poach other teams' top talent. And especially when you talk about the cost it takes, it would be, I think, 3 first-round picks. I mean, you go back to when the Oilers signed Thomas Vanek to an offer sheet after the 2007 season. It was a similar situation because at that point they had already lost Drury, they had already lost Briere. They could have gotten 5 first-round picks for Thomas Vanek if they had chosen not to match the offer. They did, however. But those are just mechanisms that the NHL has given organizations to retain their top talent. So as much as I do think, even if Jack wants to leave, it's going to be a few years before that happens. And when you look at the leadership role of Kyle Okposo, I think that's really more the thing you're going to lose more than anything, rather than obviously he's a 20, 25 goal scorer, 60-point getter. But those aren't the tangible things that you're going to lose if Kyle Okposo isn't able to move forward as a player. It's that leadership quality. And as you mentioned, a really young core roster. So you worry about having the right leadership in place with their captain, Brian Gianza, likely retiring at the end of the season. So these are all things that you kind of have to think about when you move into the offseason. But you're right. I think adding talent around Jack is really probably the best way to ensure he'll be here for the long haul. But I don't expect him to go anywhere within the next 3 or 4 seasons at least.
I'm right with you there on the Jack Eichel case. Like I said before, the Sabres have a lot of promising young talent, and there's a lot of young talent in the league. When you look around the league at Toronto with Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid up in Edmonton, I mean, the league itself is very young right now and very fast and skilled, and to have Jack Eichel in Buffalo is a blessing nonetheless, but I can see him staying with us for at least another couple of years. I don't think, right. And if we're still at the bottom of the league at that point, obviously the Sabres are sitting at 13th in the Eastern Conference right now, and if they are still in that position 4 years from now, I'll be upset. The entire organization will be upset, and you and I both know when things don't go right in Buffalo, the fans are very vocal about it. But before we let you go, I want to get your opinion real quick. We talk a lot about the Bills, or the Bills come up a lot on my shows here when I'm hosting, because
why
all of my co-hosts and colleagues know that I'm a Bills fan, and being out of state, I'm always the center of attention for the quick, easy joke or stab. So, Nate, what's your opinion on the Bills? I mean, there's a lot going on there, and Tyrod Taylor obviously staying, Lorenzo Alexander, losing Stephon Gilmore is going to hurt a little bit, but what are they going to do in the draft, and what's your opinion on their expectations this season for the Buffalo Bills?
Well, the Bills are an interesting team, obviously, right now. A lot of holes to fill. And, I've been pretty outspoken in sort of my questioning of exactly the direction this team plans on going. I really like Sean McDermott, the new Bills head coach. I think he really is ultimately the right guy for the job. So I'm excited to see what they do and who he chooses to kind of go with here. But I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be a defensive player. Obviously, I think they're targeting those top 3 defensive backs, Marshawn Lattimore, Malik Hooker, and Jamal Adams, the 2 safeties, Hooker and Adams from Ohio State and LSU, and obviously Lattimore from Ohio State as well. I think in a perfect world, they'd like to lock down one of those 2 guys. But again, that's a perfect world. I don't know that any of them will drop to 10. I could really see the Bills trading back. They only have 6 picks in this draft. They don't have a 4th-round pick. They could certainly trade back, especially if some of the running backs fall back, or if there's a run on quarterbacks early and some of those top defensive tier players end up falling. The Bills could move back 5 or 6 spots, pick up a 2nd-round pick, potentially, another later round pick and really kind of bolster the roster. This is the kind of draft where you can probably get starters going into the early portion of the fourth round. So stocking up on those early picks, I think, will be key for this team who, again, has a lot of holes defensively. Offensively, it's an interesting kind of situation going on with the wide receiver position. They certainly could add some top-tier talent in the draft at the wide receiver position. I think, obviously, with running back, they're taken care of. And at some point, they are going to have to address the quarterback position. I don't think it'll be necessarily very early. Chad Kelly's obviously a name to keep an eye on, nephew of Jim Kelly. A few of the other bottom-tier, Nate Peterman from Pittsburgh, and a few other guys like that I think the Bills will have their eye on as they want to develop their quarterback of the future. I don't know that they think they have that in Tyrod Taylor quite yet, but they're certainly willing to kind of move forward this season with him. And I think it'll be an interesting draft, but again, certainly a lot of holes to fill, and they'll need to do that according to the draft.
Yeah, obviously the quarterback position has always been the position of need for the Bills for the last 20 years or so.
Been a while.
And, I think drafting somebody and drafting the right person is going to be key in this draft for the Bills. And I think you're right. I agree with you on going defense and stocking up on a couple picks during the draft. But it's gonna be an interesting year. It's always fun as a Bills fan to watch the Bills. And around week 8, if the place is on fire, I have the Packers in my back pocket that I can pull out and watch.
Fair weather fan.
That's right. But Nate, where can people find you on social media? Of course, Nate Geary from WGR 550 in Buffalo. Nate, where can people find you if they're looking for you out there?
Easy, man. I'm at Nate Geary, WGR, NateGeary, WGR. And, I'm usually rocking my Saturday shows over on GR. So you can catch me there. And, of course, I appreciate you guys having me on. And, Tanner, it's certainly been too long, man. So we will grab an adult beverage or two.
Yes, when I'm back in Buffalo, of course, I'll give you a call. It's, I'm thankful that I had a chance to have you on today. Thank you again for coming, my man.
No problem, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, take it easy.
All right, there goes Nate Geary here on Halftime. Great to hear from him. Some good insight as well, too. Far too long, of course, for the man, the myth, the legend that is Nate Geary.
Yes,
for you personally. He seems like a really nice guy.
He's
Glad
great.
we were able to get him on.
He's great. He was him and I have a bunch of stories from high school, of course, and the fact that our paths are crossing in the sports broadcasting world right now is pretty great. And he
coming full circle.
Coming full circle. I mean, he was the guy that if I was running late, for first period and had to get my Tim Hortons or something, I'd text him to tell the teacher that I'm running late or whatever. So, but no, it was great. He's a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed listening to him. He does he does some of the shows for the Bills games, and he produces and hosts some shows for WGR 550 in Buffalo too. So I always enjoy listening to him and the other guys there. They do a great job. So I was glad to be able to get him on today and at least talk about Okposo and what's going on there, because it is pretty scary. And whenever you're talking about head injuries, and for them to say it's an undiagnosed illness, and he had been sick for a couple days, and to get admitted into neurosurgical ICU, that's not good. So
anytime
anytime
the head of the brain is involved, that's one thing that it's just something is horribly wrong. And
to go straight into surgery
terrifying.
too is pretty scary. So we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, I mean, this isn't just a case of me wanting to talk about Buffalo. This is a very serious thing. And if it does come down to concussions, that may draw even some more red flags and some more controversy in the NFL and the NHL. And we'll keep an eye on it and see what goes on. But we will have, I believe, our friend Dan Pfeiffer on in a moment here. As far as
joining us in a little while
to talk about the Masters. The Masters is underway. Dustin Johnson falling down the stairs, but he's apparently going to attempt to go out and play at least. He's up and walking. I saw today there was an article saying he was moving in the right direction towards playing in the Masters, which in the right direction apparently means
towards the golf course.
Walking.
I mean, what else do you need to do? Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in pain, though.
Swinging without a club, that's,
The amount of golf people that I've heard over the last 24 hours or even the last 12 and a half hours, basically since this really happened, that have now switched their prop bets or their bets as a whole from Dustin Johnson as the clear favorite to win the Masters to Justin Thomas, literally anybody else, has been overwhelming, honestly.
It's pretty intense. I mean, there's a lot of good players in this tournament every year, and the great thing about the Masters is people come to play. Phil Mickelson has been specifically, I mean, I'm sure a lot of these guys have, but a guy like Phil Mickelson has been training for this tournament for the last couple months.
Yeah.
So there are guys who will sneak up, guys who maybe you're not familiar with. So you'll hear some names throughout the week and maybe into the weekend that maybe you've never seen or heard before. It's always, of course, exciting to take a look at some of the amateurs in Hagestad. Dalkey. So there's some interesting people out there. So just keep an eye on the Masters and the leaderboard, and hopefully we see some familiar names up there and maybe a couple surprises too. I see Rory McIlroy is 1 under after 8, and Phil Mickelson is 1 under after 6 right now. Jordan Spieth even after 7. So those are the 3 that I'm watching right now. And, of course, you can find all of the leaderboard information and some of their feeds on the Masters website. So
that is true. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what Dan Pfeiffer has to say when he joins us here in a little while on Halftime. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk about an article that recently has been popping up and an argument that has been popping up as a whole. It is the debate of Ezekiel Elliott being better than any single running back in the 2017 NFL draft class. And when you look at a statement like that, Zeke only now a second-year man, there's a lot of talented running backs in this year's draft for the NFL. However, to go on record to say that a guy that's only played 1 year of NFL football is better than anybody else in this draft seems like a bit of a steep statement.
It does, and it's hard because the running back isn't the featured position in the NFL, and it won't be for a very long time. I would like to see it kind of even out where the running game and the passing game are equal. It's always good to have equality in sports. But no, to be serious though, you got to look at Zeke and say he played very well in his first year. So did Dak, and to be honest, I mean he has that first year experience already out of the way. There is a lot of talent at running back right now in the draft, coming out of this draft, and you look at some of these players and you say, oh, they might be better than Zeke, but at the same time, nobody knows how they're going to perform when they get to the NFL and if they can be a number 1 starter. So to have Zeke come in and do that alone is impressive for me. And of course, if I had a choice between Ezekiel Elliott or anybody in the draft, any running back in the draft, I would choose Ezekiel Elliott. Of course. So
you'd be foolish not to, I feel like. And of course, the arguments are being made for Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette, 2 guys that had very successful college careers, but You talk about a guy that even when he was in college, Ezekiel Elliott was still the best running back available for at least 2 of the 3 years that he was in the NFL or that he was in college football. Derrick Henry made arguments for a little while down in Alabama, and of course he got drafted as well to Tennessee. Didn't have that stellar rookie year because he got stuck behind DeMarco Murray, which of course is hard for any rookie. I don't care even that was Ezekiel Elliott. I think DeMarco Murray still would have taken a vast majority of the carries because he's a seasoned veteran and still very talented.
Now, when it comes to the running back position in the NFL, it reminds me a lot of the goalie position in the NHL, or even the fullback position in the NFL. It's a position that is very important, and to have somebody who's very good can benefit you like very much. But when it comes down to it, they're not the most important position. You can rush for 300, 400 yards and still lose a game because somebody's throwing the ball over your head. Now, it's in regards to the goalie position in the NHL, it's very easy to find a goaltender that can help you win games. It's hard to find an elite, shut-down goaltender, but you can get by with a goaltender that's helping you win games and doing what he needs to do. So much like that in the NFL, it's very easy for teams. I mean, you saw it in Chicago last year when Langford went down. Jordan Howard comes in and he plays great. So
phenomenal. And even Langford's not even that old of a player either.
Right,
though,
exactly.
Well.
So it's easy for me to say, hey, if I have a decent quarterback, I can go out and find a running back. I don't need to overpay for him. Now, the Bills have LaShawn McCoy. Losing LaShawn McCoy would be devastating, of course.
He didn't show up to first day of OTAs yesterday.
I mean, practice.
You got to talk about practice. If you want to play, got to talk about it.
I think it's safe to say he will not be getting sat during the season. But I think the running back position in the NFL is a position where you can find somebody to do it for you. There are teams like Carolina struggled last year, Tampa Bay struggled last year with Doug Martin out. But more often than not, when a guy goes down, there's 2 or 3 guys who are about to step up, and they're going to take that opportunity, and they're going to play well. So,
yeah, really, when you break it down, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott is obviously one of the best running backs currently in the NFL. Far from none, honestly. He is better than almost half the team. I mean, considering that he was on a team that didn't go to the Super Bowl, but he was better than I think every running back that was on a playoff caliber team last year. Devonta Freeman has certainly had a resurgence in his career since he's been in the league the last 2 years here with Atlanta, but Ezekiel Elliott's better than James White. Ezekiel Elliott's better than Ty Montgomery and Eddie Lacy. Ezekiel Elliott was better than anybody Seattle had running the ball or anybody better. I mean, he's not better than Le'Veon Bell.
No.
But aside from that, though, if you're making a top 3 to 4 running back list, Ezekiel Elliott, as a second-year guy, is on that list, which is very unheard of in the NFL as of the last maybe decade or so. Adrian Peterson was a flash in the pan that really kind of allowed the running back game to take that shape. Jamal Charles a little bit when he was early and healthy in his career as well. but we've seen such a drop-off of that dominant running back. LaDainian Tomlinson, Curtis Martin, those were the guys back in the day that were the workhorses. Corey Dillon for the Patriots, Dorsey Levens for the Packers. I mean, Marshawn Lynch right away in the beginning of his career as well, but it's been a long time since we've had these big-time consistent running backs because the college game is turned more to a how can you be a pass-first running back than a carry the ball for us 30 times running back game because everyone's running the shotgun spread offense, no huddle, everything comes off the sidelines nowadays. No one runs I formation anymore in college, and I think that's ultimately what's hurting a lot of these running backs coming to the pros, and that's why we see the drop-off so often as well, too, from the high-level running backs in college to then going to the pros, and all of a sudden guys can't keep their hands on the ball or they're just falling all over themselves because they're not used to the standard under-center offense that 90% of the NFL teams run on a very consistent basis.
Now, I'm just looking at the leaderboard here. Of course, we'll talk about this once we get Dan Pfeiffer on the line. But I'm looking at the leaderboard here for the Masters, and the current leader, he had just finished hole number 10, and he's 5 under, so he has 5 birdies on the front 9 so far. His name's Thomas Peters, the German boy. He is
the man to watch.
He's very,
Cinderella.
He's playing very well right now. But here's the deal. Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy will both tell you it is very difficult and very hard to be the leader after day 1 and continue on to win the Masters. So, but this is definitely the guy to watch right now. It'll be Thomas Peters. So
yeah, Thomas Peters too. I'm looking at him right now. He hit an eagle on hole 4 earlier today. That's phenomenal. And it's a par 3, and he got an eagle. Or no, I'm sorry, he birdied it.
Birdied it. Right.
I never understood that on a par 3 when you put it in 2 shots. How is that not an eagle?
Well, a birdie is 1 stroke under par. And an eagle's 2 strokes under par. So on a par 5, if you get a 3, it's an eagle. If you get a 4, it's a birdie.
Gotcha.
It's okay.
I thought it was all about.
That's why you have Dan and I here to chat up
Perfect.
the Masters. So.
Perfect. You guys will have to keep me in my.
I'll take you out on one of the courses this year, and we'll
walk me through it. That'd be beautiful to get the full live.
Have you ever seen Bagger Vance? Legend of Bagger Vance?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what that means.
It's it's Will Smith too. It's
Will
really
Smith.
good. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
big Willie.
Movie. Will Smith and I believe it's Matt Damon. I believe it is.
Not sure.
It's really good though. So I think it's still on Netflix or something. If not, but I'll find it and I'll have you watch it because it's amazing.
Sounds like a
it really is
wonderful
just
idea.
A phenomenal sports movie too. So
it sounds like it. It really does sound like it.
What else is going on? Let's see. So Marshawn Lynch to the Raiders. Russell Westbrook cementing himself as the MVP.
What other hard names are there in the sports
Russell
world?
Westbrook. Novak Djokovic.
Novak?
Imagine trying to read that without ever hearing it.
Novak Djokovic. Yeah. So, that is a good point.
A lot of European athletes have some names that are tough
Bastian
Schweinsteiger.
Schweinsteiger. Schwein.
Yes.
Tanner Burke.
Yes.
That's a hard name to say.
Tanner Burke. It's pretty boring. Eddie Lacy's got a garage sale. Pretty exciting. So.
Did you know that somebody called me Braxton the other day?
Called you Braxton?
Even though I told them my name was Baxter.
Oh, that's odd.
You know what grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears?
When people can't read and spell my name.
Braxton Colburn.
It's really annoying.
That is.
Very.
It's like when people call me Turner. I'm like, nobody's named that.
Turner.
Like, hey, my name's Tanner. They're like, Connor?
Turner
like, no.
Burke. That's for me too. Oh, your name's Baxter. Oh, Dexter.
Braxton. Nobody's named that.
Nobody willingly is named that.
Yes.
On purpose.
So.
What do you make of the interesting world that is golf, though? I mean, do you feel like it is being as promoted as it used to be? Do you feel like golf fans are kind of almost like Christians when it goes to church? Like, no one cares about golf, and then it's like, the Masters! And everybody floods back.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've been loving golf since I was 3. I'm a big golf fan. Like, is that not what this is, I feel like? I mean, I never hear about golf except for, like, the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the Masters.
Now, here's the deal. When it comes to golf, I mean, I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the major events.
Sure.
Not even just the majors, but some of the bigger events. I'm a fan of a great storyline, of course, but even the casual golf fan does not watch every single week. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll look at the scores every
It's a
now and
hard
then,
sport to watch every single week.
Yeah, but when you get the Ryder Cup that comes around, the U.S. Open, the British Open, I mean, it's interesting to watch these majors because these are the most competitive events in golf. And the Masters being the hardest tournament to win in golf, it's a big deal. And Rory McIlroy has a couple majors already, and he's had chances to win the Masters and has not been able to overcome overcome the heap or the hump.
That is true. Adam and Eric both throw out a name that's hard to say. I personally don't think it's hard to say just because Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah.
I personally don't think it's that hard to say just because I guess I'm used to saying it. But if you went up to a random Joe on the street that said, "Hey, pronounce this name," they'd be like Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yes.
Yeah, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
And Trevor says you'd be surprised how many people can't pronounce Turber.
Turber? How do people not know how to say Turber? It's like, I miss Turber, by the way.
Adam says Matt Damon and Charlize?
I'm assuming he meant Charlie.
Charlie Theron?
Charlie Theron.
It's a great movie.
Charles.
And my boy Will Smith.
How soon can we go golfing, Tanner? I don't have any clubs, but I'm okay. I feel like every time we talk about any sport that is not football or soccer, people immediately like to think I hate it. I don't hate golf. No. I don't hate baseball. I don't hate any of that,
No, I understand that.
I do enjoy playing the sports. I would go play golf.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the deal. I'm a soccer fan, but I understand why people don't like the sport. I understand why people think it's a slow sport, much like baseball is a little slower than hockey or basketball. It's just a different game and a different animal. I'm not very good at soccer, but, if somebody asked me to go play, I'd go play. I'm not very good at baseball. If somebody asked me to go play, I'd play.
Give it your all.
Frankly, I'm not very good at golf either, but I love playing. So
I get the sense you're not really great at a lot of things, and that worries me.
Tackle football, I might have a problem with.
Tackle football, game on. Somebody also says, what about Giannis's name?
Giannis, that's perfect. That is a great example. Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it's funny. It's fun listening to different broadcasters pronounce his name.
Giannis.
Antetokounmpo, Giannis.
It is Giannis for sure.
It's hard. It's tough to pronounce, but
Giannis.
I just want to hear him say it once.
Yeah, you never hear him say it.
No, you don't really hear him. I mean, I guess. I don't listen to a lot of the interviews and stuff, but yeah.
But still, though, you feel like there'd be some sort of anything out there with people being like, oh, Giannis. Giannis.
That is right.
You're right.
I'm all right.
I'm
all right. I'm okay.
I'm all right.
How's everybody doing out there, though? First off, I want to encourage you to like our page. Be sure to tell Facebook to give you alerts anytime we go live.
Yes.
It's great to catch the beginning of the show and see what's coming up throughout the show. So. If there's anything you would like us to ever talk about or see, be sure to post on our wall or comments. We have a website, brewsportsnet.com, brewsportsnet.com. There's always some great things going on, and we like to be the first ones to break news.
We do.
So we're the only social sports network that allows you to be a part of the broadcast. So
True.
It's exciting, and we're changing the world one broadcast at a time.
Absolutely. Speaking of changing the broadcasting world, a man that knows the world of sports very well,
he does.
Probably better than most folks, is Dan Pfeiffer, one of our great correspondents here on the Brew Sports Network, and he joins us now here on Halftime. Dan, a very good Thursday to you, sir. How are we doing today?
Doing outstanding, Baxter, and it's an exciting time of year for sports fans. Of course, we just got out of the NCAA tournament. It's opening week for Major League Baseball, and I hear there's a little event going on in a small hamlet in Georgia that some people have some interest in.
It's a very small event, invitation
Probably never heard
only,
of it. Yeah.
So it's really not a big deal. As far as it's Masters time, and when Jim Nantz says that it's a tradition unlike any other, he's using a bit of hyperbole, but at the same time, he's not lying. It's a fascinating thing, and really excited about this event coming up. It's already underway, obviously, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in this segment. But great time of year, especially for golf fans out there. But even if you're not, this is a unique event in so many different ways, and it's about the details. I sometimes think that television doesn't necessarily do the Masters justice. You have to go online. You have to go and find the articles about all of the little things that go into putting on the Masters every year. What makes Augusta National special? And once you start to realize just what all goes on surrounding the tournament, and we made a joke out of it, but it's true. It's a small club. It's a small membership. It's not a large community in Georgia. It's not far from Atlanta, but at the same time, it's a little out of the way. And it's something that people will come to from around the world and will focus on from around the world
because of how special it is, and that's what makes it so unique.
The big story, Dan, going into today, of course, centers around the world's number one, Dustin Johnson, after he fell down the stairs last night accidentally. How much of this injury to his lower back and his elbows is going to affect his game now? And people can't honestly still think he's going to be a top 5 or 10 finisher in this tournament based off these injuries, do they?
Well, it's a good question, Baxter, and what it amounts to, at least from what I'm hearing, is that we aren't going to know until we see him out there if he even decides to play. There were some rumblings yesterday that he may not give it a go, and that if this was not a major tournament, more than likely he would have decided to just forego it. But it sounds like, from what I heard at last notice, he's giving it a shot. Now, yeah, it's a question of how much it affects a guy with a back injury, and we've seen it with Tiger Woods and how his back problems have essentially caused his career to come to a grinding halt the last few years. It causes a great deal of strain on your golf swing, and so much of what goes into your shot is rotation. So when you have a back issue where it's stiffened up on you or it's sore, especially over the grind of a course like Augusta. Augusta's not a particularly long course relative to other major courses that you'll see, but it is a course with a lot of elevation changes, and as such, it can take a toll on a golfer, and it can get you in a position where if you have some soreness or some issues that are cropping up on you, they can start to play in, and particularly by the time you get to moving day on Saturday or Sunday. And again, we don't know. We haven't had a chance to find out a lot about where he's at right now, but what it breaks down to is he is the best golfer in the world. He's going to try and fight through it. You're right in that he's definitely fallen down on the board with some of the gamblers out there that now are looking at Jordan Spieth as perhaps the favorite. But, again, it's a special place. We've seen special things happen, and he's a gamer, Dustin is, and certainly he's going to try and give it a shot, and he's been playing the best golf in the world the last few weeks for sure. So, if anyone can pull through this sort of a thing, it's him. But we have to see him get out there and play and find out. And another piece, too, that comes into it, Bax, is, there's been talk today with the guys who are already out on the course about how much the wind is affecting play. They've been saying that the guys that are out there have really been spending a lot of time looking at their yardage books and debating between clubs because they just don't know if the wind is going to take the ball or push it back on them. So when you already have one issue coming in with regards to your back giving you trouble, then you start struggling with some of the conditions not being ideal. That can play in as well. So it's understandable that folks maybe aren't looking at Johnson as strongly as they did coming in before we heard about his little trip, but at the same time, he's still got to be one of the guys you could consider to be among the elite and would have the best chance would have among the best chances of still having a good round even with such an issue.
Now, there's a lot of great players in this tournament every year, and it's ultra competitive. I got my eyes on a couple guys. Of course, Ricky Fowler is 200 right now. He has yet to win a major tournament, not just a Masters. He has yet to win a major tournament. I think it's only a matter of time for a guy like Ricky. Phil Mickelson could be the oldest Masters winner. So he's a guy that I'm watching, and of course Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy as well. But there's one guy that's at the top of the leaderboard right now, and Thomas Pieters, the 25-year-old Belgian. He's 5 under through 10 holes. And I believe he's on the 11th right now. Is this a guy that you have your eye on, or you saw this coming? And is this something that maybe we should watch going into the weekend? Can he sustain this even?
I'm not going to say that he's a guy that was necessarily on my radar coming into today. Everyone at the Masters is going to have some sort of a aura about them, some sort of a title. It is the most exclusive field in golf. So if you're there, you are going to be a contender in one way or another. Even some of the guys who are only there because they are amateur champions, we have seen some amateurs go there and end up on the final leaderboard because it is a course that if you catch it at the right time, it's not a matter of how you don't have to be a huge hitter to be successful at Augusta. You have to make the right decisions at the right times. He's gotten out to a great start, and he's been the talk of the morning on the course. Does that mean that he's going to be a contender? There are still guys that haven't, taken to the first tee yet. A lot of things can happen over the course of the 4 days, and this year in particular, because of the rain that they had during the week, because of the winds we're seeing today and the way that conditions are going to change over the next few days, I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of movement along the leaderboard. You know, when guys get to Amen Corner and you're trying to put the ball over Rays Creek and a couple of those holes there where there's water on both in front and behind the green, you know, if you're fighting the wind and that makes a 10, 15-yard difference in your shot, that can change around very quickly. We saw one just a little while ago as I was watching the coverage on 12. One of the guys in the bunker was right up on the lip of the bunker, and basically all he could do was just bang one off the lip back deeper into the bunker so they'd have another opportunity out. You have one or two holes like that, it can blow up your round. I'm not going to rule out one of the younger or lesser-known guys. Augusta is a course that can take some of the veterans by surprise. And you brought up Phil Mickelson. A lot of folks are thinking about Phil and rooting for Phil. Goodness knows Phil has quite a history of historic moments, both good and not so good at Augusta. He's 46, and again, we've seen Jack do it at an older age, Jack Nicklaus at Augusta in the past. But, you know, it's a course that they make the point every year to make enough subtle changes to that it plays differently. And in a weird sort of way, that may actually play to the advantage of some of the younger guys, because they might not have that sense of what they've played before when they've been out there. So they might think, okay, I'm just going to go and attack it the way that I saw it during the practice rounds, whereas some of the experiences that the older guys have had might actually play against them. So I'm not saying that means that Phil's at a disadvantage, but, you know, I do think it's a tournament that some of the younger players might come in with a fresher mindset and have the opportunity to use that to their advantage, and that might play to a guy like Peters out there.
Well, it's very exciting. Of course, the Masters is a wonderful tournament, very exciting to watch, very competitive, especially moving into the weekend, so I'll definitely keep an eye on that. And maybe, Dan, you and I can get together and watch a little bit of some golf
that
over
sounds
the
like
weekend
fun
as well. I'd ask you, but, you know.
Well, I mean, I have a family, too, so.
Dan, where are you going to watch this weekend, and where can people find you on the social media universe?
Well, let's bring up the social media piece first. I am active on Twitter with my sports work. That's where I would recommend people go out and try and find me. The handle, because I am heavily involved with Marquette Athletics, including a few times that I've had the chance to work Marquette's Collegiate Invitational at Erin Hills, which is going to play host to a major this year, and we're all excited about that. I use the MU moniker in my Twitter handle. It is at MUPFEIF. At MU Fife, if you will, the Fife nickname to go for Dan Pfeiffer. This weekend, you know, it's kind of funny. I will spend some time, especially on Sunday, sitting down and watching the final 18 and the final group make its way through. I actually have in my condo a home golf simulator. I won't mention the brand since I'm absolutely certain they're not a sponsor, but they put out a limited release version of Augusta. It's the next step up from playing the Tiger Woods game on your PS4 or your Xbox, in that you use your clubs and a foam ball, and I have a projector, so it's as if you're playing kind of a simulated version of the course. So I actually took to it last night, played my own simulated version of Augusta, so I'm pretty sure on Sunday I'm going to play around at Augusta while I'm watching the guys finish up at Augusta, and have an enjoyable Sunday. Plus, I found a recipe for pimento cheese sandwiches online.
Perfect.
A little complicated. There you go. I don't know if I have the blending capabilities to put together what's needed with the mayo and the mustard and whatnot, but I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot, or at least get a quarter pounder with cheese or something with cheese on Sunday to enjoy with the tournament as well.
Well, perfect, Dan. We appreciate you taking the time to swing by here on halftime. Always a pleasure to speak with the great Fifini, and we look forward to having you back on the program again soon, Dan.
Sounds good, guys. Have a great remainder of the day and enjoy the weekend.
Sounds good, Dan. Thanks a ton. Dan. There goes Dan Pfeiffer, one of our great correspondents here on the Brew Sports Network. Not a lot of time left here, unfortunately, to finish up the show, but you got something fun for us here, Tanner, to close out the program today, don't you?
I'll have to grab my clubs and head over to Pfeiffer's this weekend.
Pfeiffer Hills.
The end of the Masters, but I thought it would be fun. So usually on Thursdays I do one of my favorite segments called What's for Lunch. But today I thought I would take a little twist on my favorite segment.
A little twist.
And I think today for lunch we should draft our favorite concessions foods and the things you would find in concessions. So if you and I owned our own stadium, ballpark, or arena, what are the foods that you would have at your concessions?
Well,
and we can vote on what we think is a better venue. So
I got made fun of for having cannolis at my tailgate, so I mean, I'm sure you can kind of assume where my concessions are going to go. Now, I actually have real concessions.
All right, and well, I'm going to stick away from the popcorn and the pretzels and stuff like that.
What about the Cracker Jacks?
Well, I guess, if we want to go that route, we could do that too.
No, you do it.
I think
it's your stadium, man. I'm not coming. You do you.
So do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, I'll go first.
I'm not coming into your stadium judging you.
I know.
Maybe I will.
I'm all about high-quality food. Like, I don't want to go in and get, like, a $2 burger that's just, like, been wrapped up and sitting under a hot lamp.
Yummy.
So I'm all about, like, quality food. I already assume that my venue is going to be a little expensive, but there isn't a ballpark or arena in the world that's going to be cheap. So I'm going to have gourmet as an arena burger can get. I'm going to have high-quality burgers, and maybe there's like a burger bar.
Grass-fed burgers, whatever.
So like the Subway of burger shops.
Oh, the Subway.
So you tell them what you want on it, and you go down, and it's just a high-quality burger. So I'm having cheeseburgers because God knows I want a cheeseburger at a ball game.
That sounds really good right about now. For me, I have always been a big component of nachos. I think the nacho bars, the nacho cheese, all of that fun business. There's so many things that you can do with it, whether it be the olives, the chips, the cheese, of course, the meats, all of that. I will be the biggest nacho fan ever. We'll have a big nacho bar called Nacho Business.
Business.
But we do want Yo Business, but not Joe Business, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
So definitely nachos for me.
I love, I think I'm going to go with Eric on this one.
Poutine.
I love the idea of having poutine, but I don't think it would be popular with enough people. So I'm going to go as my secondary. So like my gourmet burgers are going to be my top tier food.
Sure.
My secondary, I love a good corn dog. There ain't nothing like getting a solid corn dog at like the fairgrounds or something like that. So to have a corn dog at the ballpark,
all right, that's you. That's all you, man. You do you.
Okay, so cheeseburgers and corn dogs.
Cheeseburgers and corn dogs. Sounds like I'm having like grade school.
I think the
lunch
fries
right
are
now.
assumed, right? With some of these things, I think so.
I think
if I'm getting a cheeseburger, there's always
yeah,
gonna be
no,
fries
that makes
available.
total sense. Let's see. I've already got my nachos. Well, I mean, I'm already going to throw an Italian flavor. And then I'm going to have a pasta bar.
Ooh,
Small,
I like that.
little pasta traveling bowls.
Do you have like cold pasta salads too that you could get there?
If you're into that sort of thing.
Good.
Yeah, well, we don't
go for a little
discriminate against our
Mediterranean
pasta
salad.
lovers. Yeah, Mediterraneans or the normal Italians.
Yeah,
it's
great.
Get it all
The
everywhere.
normal Italians?
Normal Italians, not those fake ones.
All right. I'm going to have to. Adam says hot dog, burger, buffalo wings, beer bar, and cheese curds. I'm going to have to move away from the buffalo wings and the cheese curds just because. I mean, it's just messy. It's messy. I would love some wings. If I was in Buffalo, I'd have wings. But I don't know where my arena is going to be. I'm trying to appease all crowds.
Trying to be, a man of the people.
Yes. So corn dogs, burgers, and then I love peanuts, like actual shelled peanuts. There's nothing like cracking open the shell and just throwing the things on the ground. So I'm going to have as my side snack, I'm going to have some peanuts to go with my ball game.
Interesting. So for me, for anybody that knows me, you know that I love soup, especially chili. Ooh. So I got to have a chili bar as well too.
Absolutely.
So people can make their own chilies, or we'll have a couple of featured soups depending on the game, maybe themed soups depending on the opponents that we're playing as well.
When the Pats are coming to town.
That's true. Maybe a little buffalo chicken soup or something when the Bills are in town.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Going with that.
Plus Green Bay's, they're big in their chili up there for
they
sure.
Are.
So
that's why I love chili so much.
I agree. Dippin' Dots and baseball caps. Oh my God! If I had a nickel.
Big League Chew.
Yes. So I think I'm gonna go beverages now because I have my burgers, I have my corn dogs, and I have my peanuts. So I'm covered most of the spectrums.
Of course.
I'm not too worried about the kids. There may
to heck with them.
There may be a cotton candy stand that comes and goes. I'm not really worried about that. It's not gonna be a featured item for me. But I'm going to go with my craft beer. If you're at my ballpark, there's as much craft beer as you could ever want. So
well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it simple. I mean, I've already got my pasta, so I got to go wine, and I got to have cider.
So wine and cider at your ballpark.
Wine and cider at my ballpark. Only thing we
I feel like our teams wouldn't like each other very much.
Probably not. Us owners would probably make fun of each other.
Yeah, my fans are like lighting themselves on fire and busting tables, and yours are over there like, those silly fans in Buffalo. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You see what the Buffalonians did again.
I ordered the 2009 Cabernet. This is a 2012. I saw you open the bottle. So
A fake label on your bottle.
yes. Okay, so let's get one more in. Concessions. I'm trying to think of best concessions. I have my burger, I have my corn dog, I have my peanuts, and I have a plentiful
bounty
of beer.
alcohol. Gratuitous amounts of alcohol.
I'm not too worried about the hard liquor. I mean,
overrated.
I think for VIP stuff, maybe I can get that. But beer, burger, corn dog at a game sounds great.
Sure.
But I'm gonna go with pizza because for some reason, but it's not that crappy thin slop pizza. This is gonna be a nice thick piece of pizza with some solid sauce, some great toppings, almost like Rocky Rococo's. But I'm not going to have Rocky Rococo's feature my pizza, so I want thick, delicious, quality pizza. So,
I suppose so. I mean,
Okay.
I love a good pizza too. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not a big thin crust pizza personally, so
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me. My final item, I guess, I'm actually going to go from a dessert perspective, and I am going to bring in the ice cream sandwiches. I think people love a good ice cream sandwich on the go. And I think that's kind of a good compliment. You've got all those warm foods and some good drinks as well, too. But
Yes.
a nice ice cream sandwich is good.
ice cream sandwich?
Maybe a little gelato if you really want to be that
See,
guy.
that's where you need to go. If you're going wine and pasta, you got to have gelato
Fine.
in there.
We'll bring in
Get
the
your
gelato. The gelato
Everybody loves
over
some
there.
Gelato or
Yeah,
some
we'll bring
fresh
in
custard.
gelato.
So, I think, I went pretty straightforward with the burgers,
Yeah.
corn dogs, pizza, peanuts, and beer. I had, some asterisks next to those that would, gotta be quality burgers, gotta be
Course.
craft beer, gotta be, the best carnival corn dogs. So, real quick, Eric on Facebook says my favorite sports show is the Dan Labatard Show with
With
Stugotz. You guys are my second favorite. I like when you guys go on tangents. Sports talk is great, but not talking about sports is even better. And I think,
Thanks,
I think
Eric.
that's what makes our shows so great.
Pretty sure
here on
that's
Brew
a
Sports.
compliment.
So, I think it's a compliment.
I'm pretty
yes.
positive. Thanks, Eric. You seem nice. And Wendy wants to know, because your mom loves me
Yes,
and always
of course.
comes to my tailgates over you and your brother. She said hard cider? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Maybe
of
some
course,
maybe some warm
of course.
regular apple cider too if it's a fall game.
Yes, and
Gotta
of course,
stay warm.
I would have to say if I have my own venue, I'm going to have my mom be the executive chef. So she's going
Wow,
to be
she apparently is coming.
ultimate-
She apparently loves me more though.
I'm just going to say she's going to have the ultimate decision.
You can't
on
give her the
what
job
we're
if she doesn't
serving
want
and how
it.
we're serving it. But here's the deal. My mom's always going to bring Cincinnati chili. I know you have chili, but for some reason it'll come in, it'll show up. It's the best. I do have to make it sometime. I got the recipe from her,
Please.
so I will make it.
Yeah, my grandma's
hopefully
chili
next
is world
week.
famous too.
We'll try and make some chili next week, and
Yeah.
I'll bring it into the studio for everybody.
Well, I mean, if you're bringing your mom, I guess I'm bringing my mom. So
Perfect.
she's a phenomenal Italian chef. So we might as well bring her on in.
Hey, who knows? Maybe
We
we
should have
could,
a mom off.
maybe we could be the first. Maybe your stadium's a football stadium, and mine's a baseball, and we're just
Yeah.
in the same city with sharing the same fans with
There you
two
go.
different experiences.
Yeah,
so.
Wendy says she loved my cannolis. They were very delicious.
Yes,
You're welcome,
of
Wendy. We loved
course,
having you at the
of course.
Colburn tailgate. It was a lot of fun to
Yes.
have you there. Great stories about
It is
Tanner and
great.
Trevor, by the way.
At the tailgate. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think we pretty much covered everything
so.
for today. I'm really excited for the Masters. I'm probably going to go home and watch a little bit of that. I got to work tonight, of course, but I was wondering, maybe, of course, I'm on Facebook. I'm on, Instagram, Snapchat, all that fun stuff. So I will be sharing my social media prowess through my Snap stories and all that. So go out and find me, follow me on Snapchat at Banner Turk and Instagram. I'm going to be snapping about the Masters this weekend. So
Awesome.
I should have some good stuff, and maybe we can talk a little bit this weekend about it as well. So
Sure. Sounds like fun.
beautiful.
All right, well, he's Tanner Burke. A special thanks to Nate Geary and Dan Pfeiffer for joining us on Halftime today. Remember, you can find everything for Brew Sports at our website, brewsportsnet.com. You can also find us on the social media universe here on Facebook, of course. Remember to go invite your friends. Numbers have been flying up with the likes, so thanks to all of you folks that have been getting out and liking the page and sharing it with your friends as well. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at BrewSportsNet as well. I'm Baxter Colburn. If you like that sort of thing, follow me.
And I'm Tanner Burke. I'm going to thank everybody for watching. Of course, we are live here multiple times throughout the day,
Absolutely.
5 days a week. And here for halftime, we are live 12 Eastern to 1 and 11 Central to 12. So be sure to come back and see us again tomorrow. They'll be back on later for a happy hour.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always a great time working with you, my friend.
I appreciate it. It's always a good time.
All right.
Almost called you Trevor.
I'm not Trevor. My mom still does that, but yeah.
I miss
Oh my
Trevor.
gosh, he's great. He's great.
Bye, guys. We'll see you
All right,
tomorrow.
have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.